Welkom bij de podcast. Vandaag hebben we een speciale aflevering en deze gaat in het Engels zijn. Als je het niet erg vindt, dan mag je blijven kijken.
Yes.
Als je het wel erg vindt, dan helaas, dan moet je het nog afzetten. Dus voor nu komt het Engels gedeelte. Welkom bij de podcast. My name is Mike, this is Bram. Our guest today is originally from New York, but lives in Maastricht. First uses our platform to inspire other young people to stay active and live a balanced life. Please welcome Lucie.
Hey.
Thank you for having me.
No worries.
No worries. So we had a conversation about a few weeks ago in a cafe, and one of the things that stuck with me, and I kept wondering, is like, why specifically did you choose to come to Maastricht?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I grew up, I'll talk a little bit about myself. Well, I grew up in the US. I grew up in New York, born and raised. And my parents are both German.
Yeah.
So when I was growing up in the US, I always thought I would go to college there. Until COVID hit, and I was rowing competitively at the time. I thought I was going to go to college for that sport, but I didn't want to train for myself by myself anymore. And I thought that I had this whole realization that maybe I don't want to do this for 4 more years. And then the whole thing was like, I don't think my academics alone will bring me into a good U.S. University, because it's very competitive, and I was kind of relying on rowing to help me. And so then I started looking internationally because my parents are both German, and we found a bunch of international schools, and I applied to one in Amsterdam. I viewed some in Rotterdam and also in Paris, I believe. And then a family friend brought up that their son goes to Maastricht University, and he was also from New York, and that it's a very international program, that it's all taught in English, and that you're actually able to choose what you want to study in the first year, at least at the program I'm studying at, which is the University College of Maastricht.
Yeah.
I'm able to sort of choose. I didn't have to go in with like, okay, I'm studying law or I'm doing business. I was able to explore for the first year. And then, and so I just thought that sounds like the perfect match for me. And we visited Maastricht, and we actually visited Maastricht in the summer during COVID, so it was completely dead here. And there were just like older people, and my mom, and I was like, Mom, like, are you sure this is a student city? Because it was so empty. But from the start, it was so charming, like that never leaves Maastricht. And so yeah, that's how I kind of got there.
Awesome.
Got here.
One of the things I find fascinating about the US is like how big colleges are, and university as well. Like it's a sport in itself, especially with football teams and like other sports. You mentioned rowing.
Yeah.
It's something we can't even think about in Europe.
No.
How do you experience the differences between like US and Maastricht?
So in the sports aspect for colleges, I think there's a tremendous difference, because in the US, it's like their whole university culture kind of is centered around those sports. They take so much pride in that. And I think from the very start, even when children are, 12 years old, they see it from their parents and their older siblings that they went to that college, and they already have dream colleges. They're like, I want to go to Harvard. Yeah. I'm going to work hard. I'm 12 years old right now, and my dream school is this, and I'm going to get there. And so when you get into that college, you have so much pride, and you just don't really have that here. It's kind of like you graduate high school, and you're like, okay, maybe I'm going to do 2 years of traveling, or I'm going to try out an internship, or okay, this school seems like it aligns with what I want to do, so I'm just going to apply there. Yeah. Ooh, I got in. Cool. Congrats. But it's not like in the US, people take so much pride in that, and I think that the sports teams also just like emphasize that even more, because if you take, for example, Alabama University, their one true pride is their football team, because it's the best, and every single player on that team is going to go into the NFL. And so also like the competitive aspect of sports is taken very seriously also from a young age in the US, because they kind of correlate it as that. I mean, I had that exact thing with rowing. From a very young age, I started rowing, and I had the thought that I'm going to continue rowing because I'm going to get into college with this sport. It's going to help me get into college. It's going to help me stand out in the admissions process. Yeah. And so I think it's very different, but yeah. It's crazy.
That's quite funny that you're already like at a young age thinking like, oh yeah, I want to get into here, so I need to do this and this.
Yeah,
Like you have a
it's
whole list
very strategic.
Okay.
That's exactly why when I realized I didn't want to row anymore, I was like, oh shit, because I just dedicated 7 years to that sport and didn't really do any extracurriculars or focus on anything else because I dedicated all my time to rowing.
Yeah.
And you can't just get into a US college with your grades. You need everything and more to stand out.
Yeah,
it's quite funny because for me, like, I didn't finish like my what's it called in English, because like there's a lot of difference between schools, even between like the Netherlands and Belgium.
Yeah.
So I didn't finish my I guess it's called college. I don't know if you can like compare it to each other, but let's call it college for now. And then we have MBO, HBO. So I did MBO, and I was just looking at like, okay, what do I like? And I was like, oh, maybe some stuff with gaming, computers, maybe some programming.
Yeah.
And I applied for that. And after that, I was like, yeah, I don't like this. And then I just went, okay, now I like photography and videography. And I just find something close to me.
Yeah.
So yeah, there are some schools that stand out, of course, but to each sector as well, because we have the Film Academy in Amsterdam.
Yeah.
That's a lot bigger than like what we have here.
Yeah, true.
But we don't live our whole lives just to go to university or pick out a college. It's just so small. And I saw a video on like X a while ago when where some American person posted like college players going by plane to go to another match.
Oh yeah.
And that's crazy.
Yeah.
That only happens here when you are on like the highest level of football or like any sport.
Yeah, it's insane because they also are so like the college teams have so much money.
Yeah, I mean, there's a whole game now about them, right? Like, I don't know if you know, but there's like you have NFL, like the video game, but they also made a college version of that now.
Yeah,
so
I mean, college football is almost, I mean, not just as big, but it's getting there. It's very popular. People watch it like regularly.
Yeah, but also like every TV teen drama from US, like look at Euphoria, but 30 Reasons Why, every big television show, the college sports, it's like so big. It's just a culture.
Exactly, it's the culture. And I studied abroad at the University of Vermont a year ago for an entire semester because I wanted to experience just a little bit of the American college experience.
Yeah.
And wow, I really noticed how influential sports was in the college culture because every Friday it would be like, okay, guys, what's our plan? Oh, there's a hockey game. Let's pre-drink for the hockey game and let's go there and cheer on the team. And everyone, there's a whole student section. Everyone like has color on their face and comes together and watches these games that usually I'd find no interest in. But it's just like this community aspect, this community feeling. Everyone's wearing the same colors. Everyone, and also the merch that they have for the universities is incredible because you can get a vest for your dog that says University of Vermont on it. Crazy. You can get like a rug for your bedroom that says University of Vermont on it. Yeah. Because again, people take so much pride in that college and honestly make their entire personality about it.
That's it. Like Harvard as well is known worldwide. Yeah. When you go to Primark, there are Harvard teams everywhere.
That's so funny. Yeah.
So like in Brandon itself, it's just a college. Like in Netherlands, it would never happen. Just some Zuid merch.
like if that happened, then I don't think people would buy that. They would just
in Bershka.
Yeah.
No.
So awesome. Like people that follow you see that they see that you're very active, live a balanced life, or you try to live a balanced life. How did like the social media content creation aspect come into your life?
With the balance or?
Yeah, did you like, is it something you, like, how did you end up in there? Like, did you just one day be like, oh, I'm already doing this and I want to share my lifestyle with other people or?
So how I got into the entire social media realm.
Yeah.
That was, I guess, when I first moved here in 2021. I was terrified to come to university here, to leave my family. They obviously live thousands and thousands of kilometers away, and I was leaving behind all my friends. So I was terrified. And then after the first 2 weeks, I found really great friends already, and I was really enjoying my time, and I started seeing the positives, and I was like, I wrote in my journal before I left, I was like, I want to share my journey with the world. Yeah. And when I saw that it was going well, I was like, I made a little vlog with a voiceover, and it ended up actually going viral. And that was one of my first TikToks, I think. And I saw that I was inspiring a lot of people, and I was like, this is really cool. This is cool how many people I could reach. But then after that, I would maybe post once a month. Like, I didn't think much of it.
Yeah.
And then in January of 2023, I posted a video of me getting ready where I was like, why don't more Americans go to college in Europe? Genuinely asking, me just getting ready with my makeup. And I was like, there's a bunch of international schools where it's all taught in English. I pay like an eighth, a tenth of the tuition. I'm getting such a great education, etc., etc., etc.
Yeah.
That went viral. And then I was like, okay, I want to keep doing this. I saw that there was an opportunity. I saw that not a lot of people have touched on this niche in particular.
Yeah.
And so I saw an opportunity. And I then continued to share things. I tried to almost every day on TikTok. And a lot of it at first revolved around my studies and university and just spreading awareness around the fact that it's an opportunity that you can study here.
Yeah.
And then it kind of shifted into like vlogging my daily life as a student. And so as I was vlogging my daily life to show Americans like, yeah, this is what your life could be if you studied here.
Yeah.
I obviously included parts in the vlog of me working out or me going out with my friends, and it just started becoming more me instead of just university and studying.
So you're turning into a bit of a brand of yourself.
Exactly. And I think that was the biggest turning point when I realized to not stick into one niche and to make yourself the brand, so that at one point, whatever you post, like, you are the brand.
Yeah.
And so, yeah. And then I think in 2024, this year actually, in January, I went through like a difficult phase with my body image and just feeling crappy about myself. And I was just like, I want to change something.
Yeah.
And I was sick of all the excuses I was making for myself constantly. I was constantly playing victim in my own head. And I was just, and then I joined an online community by the content creator of Richie Lovelace.
Okay.
And I entered a fitness challenge.
Yeah.
And I loved what his entire message was how to stay fit, but also have fun with your friends. And I knew that I wanted to work on my fitness goals, but I also wanted to have a fun social life. And I wanted to have a drink with my friends. Like, I was not about to become a whole gym rat and not, I was like, I'm still 20 years old, 21, and I want to find that balance.
Yeah.
And so I entered the fitness challenge and I ended up winning. And he flew me out to Miami in May. And we spent the weekend with like 3 other winners as well.
Okay.
Just talking about our whole journey and going to the beach and going to a party and whatever. It was a lot of fun, but most importantly, I found so much inspiration from Richie himself.
Yeah.
Because he is just his complete self on social media. And I wanted that exact thing. And so from the time I joined his online community in March, I had 30,000 followers on Instagram.
Yeah.
And now I have over 200,000 followers.
Crazy.
And that was just from like, fuck it, I'm just going to start sharing things that are so true to me. I don't care what other people are going to think. I need to resonate with what I share. And if I'm inspiring other people and if I'm making an impact on other people, that is the only thing that matters. And there's going to be people who don't agree with you, and there's going to be brands that might not want to partner with you anymore because you're not sharing this message or that message. But who cares? Like, the brands and the money will come. It will come. And that's another thing. Like, I could have also easily just focused on taking brand deals and taking every single brand deal that came to me, but I wanted to put all of my energy into building my own brand.
Yeah.
Because the more energy you put into other brands, it's like taking away from a video that you could make that would, go viral and whatever.
Cool.
You're mentioning like brand deals and stuff.
Yeah.
How did you feel the first time a brand reached out to you just to do a promotion or something?
I was like, oh, I'm on top of the world. No, but I felt I felt like I truly had an impact because I found like I saw value in what I was doing, and I saw that like, whoa, this brand believes in me, that I can really impact their sales and their message, and I can share that with them. So it felt really special, and it felt kind of like a milestone almost, that someone else and something of that power, I guess, believes in me and sees potential in me to have an impact on
That's
them.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like even content creation is like a job in itself. It takes a lot of time to make videos.
Absolutely.
How do you find like the balance between just doing all the stuff you do
Mm.
and then making videos about it?
Yeah, because like also enjoying it must be harder, no? I mean,
Yeah.
I can imagine that like sometimes I want to film myself doing something, but
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, but I like also being casual
Yeah.
in this moment and not with the camera.
Yeah. I totally understand what you're saying. So I, number one, find a lot of joy in editing videos and creating collages. Like, that's something I would do in my free time. And so I think that has a huge impact on the way I see it as work, because I genuinely love to do it. And the most satisfying feeling is posting a video and seeing that other people resonate with it, and that inspires other people. And so if I could, would spend like hours and hours hiding in my room editing videos. And sometimes I'm like, Lucy, put the phone down. You need to do schoolwork. Put the phone down. You need to go outside and see light. Put the phone down. You need to go and see your friends. And so in that case, it doesn't. There are times though that were days where I'm like, oh my gosh, the last thing I want to do right now is edit a video. I don't have any ideas. And I get really overwhelmed because I also want to post every single day.
Yeah.
And so I think it's definitely a challenge every day, but usually what I try and do is like in the morning, I'll have an idea of what video I want to post. And I don't have a content schedule whatsoever. Like every day the idea comes to me and I post. And sometimes I write ideas down in my notes, but I do not have a content strategy or schedule. Like usually it's just every day it comes to me.
That seems crazy.
Yeah. But my one goal is just to post every single day, and I will usually try and spend 2 or 3 hours doing that.
Yeah.
But then a big part of that also comes from consuming content. I get a lot of inspiration from consuming content on social media. Yeah. And so sometimes I'll also be scrolling for hours, and now I can't really scroll in social media the same way I used to, because I am analyzing every single video.
Yeah.
From a content creator stance. I'm like, okay, why did I just skip that video? Why did I like this video? What made me want to follow this creator? Like I'm constantly analyzing it too. So it's almost as if there's no break ever at the same time.
You mentioned like having no schedule, but do you like work ahead? Just like, so things you film today are gonna be on tomorrow, or because you can't like just post today what you're gonna film today, right?
Well, it completely depends on the video. So if I'm like, yesterday I posted a half marathon vlog, and obviously I filmed that on Sunday, and then I knew I wasn't going to post it that day because it takes time to put together and whatever. But some days I post a video of me just, I don't know, just putting the camera down and talking, and I'll edit that video in 15 minutes and post it an hour later. Like it's completely like.
So because I heard this, that's something I see on TikTok a lot. Like people saying like quantity over quality, so to say. Not to say that your videos are good. So, but just I can imagine that in the beginning, especially, you just need to like pump out stuff.
Yeah, I think that's definitely true for the beginning, because a lot of people will hold back from making content because they're like, no, it has to be perfect. No, my first video has to go viral.
Yeah.
And then you never post, and then you never do it.
Yeah.
And so I think at the beginning you just need to start. You need to find like, okay, what do I want to share? What value do I have to bring to the table? And then just start posting. And your first 30 videos are not going to go viral. I'm going to tell you right here. Yeah. Unless you're a supermodel or something is like, like you're not going to go viral. And maybe you will, but you probably won't. You just need to, pump out the videos every single day. However, I do think quality is very important once you have a platform, because some days I pressure myself so much. I'm like, you have to post this, but I'm like, that doesn't really resonate with me. And I can also just not post for a day. And I think getting back to what you were saying the other day, or not the other day, but just now, you said something about like how you don't want to film all the time.
Yeah.
And so I noticed that on vacation. I was just on vacation with my friends, and I could have vlogged every single day in Paris. I could have probably gotten millions of views from doing stuff in Paris, but I was like, no, right now I'm with my friends.
Yeah.
I'm at a reunion. I don't want to. I'm going to film 2 videos in Paris, and they're going to be taste testing a chocolate mousse, but it's not going to be a daily vlog where I have to film myself waking up, going to bed, eating breakfast with my friends. Like, there are times where I put the phone away, where I'm like, I want to be present right now. I want to be with my friends.
That's good.
And then I'll opt for a different type of video of just like taste testing, chocolate mousse or whatever. So I think making intentional breaks is important.
Yeah. No, that's good. What I was wondering about too, because since like right now you're so well known, especially in Maastricht. The other day, for instance, I was just walking around, and then I heard a few people saying like, "Oh yeah, I've seen this video of this girl," and I was like, "Okay, that's
really
yeah." And I was like,
That's so
"Okay,
funny.
yeah." So I was just thinking, how do you deal with that? You know, because if I go out in the street, then obviously I live here all my life, so I'm still a bit known. So I'm always like, okay, I need to at least dress well and like have a bit of a normal appearance. Like I'm not gonna walk around in my sweats going into the supermarket, for instance. But yeah, how do you go about that?
Well, number one, I would say that I am try to be so myself on social media to the point where I'm not hiding anything.
Okay.
So I will go to the grocery store like without shame in my sweatpants, because that's what I would usually do on a Sunday morning if I'm hungover. And I will gladly share that with my followers. Like, guys, I'm a college student. I drank last night. Like, sue me. I'm going to be open with that. I'm not hiding anything.
That's good.
And so I think that's like one of the most freeing things as well, is just like, this is me. I'm not hiding anything.
Yeah.
And I don't feel the need to put makeup on or like be in these amazing outfits every day, because I share the bad with my followers as well. So it's like, I'm not just posting these perfect pictures where I look this way and I'm so scared that they're going to see me a different way because I post it all.
I think that makes it also easier to handle. I think you see a lot of content creators having like a burnout after a certain period, because they try to have a certain image and then you have to keep it up, and when you can't anymore after a few months, or like it's getting difficult and you can't make the content like you want to anymore, it's really difficult just to keep it up. So I think just being yourself and not just doing fancy things for camera helps with just consistently posting and having a healthy balance.
But I think it's really good that you share that aspect, especially since like in this whole digital era, it's like every time I go to Instagram, for instance, I see guys like in perfect lighting with perfect filters, everything. And I'm just like, I work out daily. So I'm like, I know how much work it takes, but still like sometimes I'm just like standing somewhere and I'm like, oh man, I look so bad compared to that, you know, because it's just, it gets inside your head, you know?
Yeah, for sure. And I think that's one of the biggest reasons why I do share not only the good parts of my life, but also the bad and like the real parts, is because I know the impact it has had on me in the past. It's like, if you're consuming hours of social media a day, you are going to subconsciously compare yourself to those highlights that you're seeing, because no one's posting pictures of them from this angle. No one's posting constant videos of them crying every day. Like, you're just seeing the highlights. You're seeing people on a Paris trip. You're seeing people with their boyfriend. You're seeing people like have the perfect outfit. And so no matter if you want to or not, you're subconsciously comparing yourself. And so I feel like I have a role to show people like, hey, it's not like that all the time. And I might not be like a body positivity Instagram account, and I might not be like I don't know, that's not my niche, but I'm just want to show people like reality. Like, it's okay to not just be perfect all the time. Because no one is. No one.
And right now, like stop me if I can't talk about this yet. But right now you're working on your own platform as well, right? Like
Yes, so I'm I'm not sure, but I have currently a graphic designer to help me come up with a logo and everything, and so there's exciting things coming for the future, but I'm still trying to figure it all out.
Cool.
But yeah,
cool.
I definitely want to take my Instagram platform to one step further by connecting people in a different way.
Yeah.
And like, when did you? So I'm trying to find the right word for this. When did you start seeing Instagram as being a possible career path for you and being able to help other people? So like for me, Instagram is just a tool to keep up with my friends.
Right.
And I'm imagining as you gain followers, you're thinking like, okay, maybe I can turn this into something. At that point, did you think like, maybe I should consider brand deals, do stuff for my followers, and now maybe setting up a new platform? What does that mean for you?
I think that when I mean, for a really long time, I also saw TikTok and Instagram as like just a hobby. Like I was going viral on the platforms, but I was like, no way am I going to be able to make this full time for myself. Maybe I could apply to social media management positions, but because I have experience, but I never really thought I could do it until I think after maybe in June when I started sharing things about my fitness journey. And I started becoming really vulnerable and really myself on my Instagram platform. And I saw how many people I was inspiring and the DM messages I was getting of like, I moved to the Netherlands because of you. I didn't stop school because of you. I kept going because of you. And I was just like, holy shit, I am having such a tremendous impact on people's lives. And I had this thought where like, I don't care what it takes, but that is exactly what I want to do for the rest of my life. Like, I want to have that type of impact on people, and just that reassurance from other people, those DMs that they send me, it gives me a lot of reassurance that I will do whatever it takes to be able to do this for the rest of my life. And I don't like, if it was easy, everyone would do it, and it might be the riskier path, and it might be like looked down upon, like, oh, you're an influencers don't do anything. Like that's
it's a lot of work.
It's so much work, and they don't really know what they're talking about. So I kind of just like blur that out. But.
Yeah.
And then I think also that combined with bigger brands reaching out to me and offering me a certain amount of money, I was like, okay, I could make this my full time. Like this is realistic for me as well.
But even just on Instagram, like, I don't know how the Instagram space is. Even with, you see a lot of people from TikTok eventually moving on to YouTube because TikTok doesn't have any monetization features. So they move on to TikTok or like other platforms where they can make it like a viable career path. Is it the same for you? Or do you think like Instagram is good for me? I'm just going to maybe look to other ways to eventually make this a career path?
Yeah, so I mean, I know with TikTok you have the creator fund, but that only pays you a few cents per 1,000 views. And apparently when you join that creator fund, like TikTok obviously doesn't want to pay creators, so they stop showing your videos. I've heard a lot about that. I don't know. I never joined it because it never seemed worth it to me, like a few cents per 1,000 views. And Instagram, on the other hand, doesn't monetize at all. However, Instagram started off as a platform for friends. TikTok started off as a platform for scrolling and in like unpersonal connections with the followers. And so since Instagram started off that way, people resonate a lot more with influencers on Instagram and have a more of a personal connection with them. At least that's my stance. And so when you have this close connection with your followers, brands are willing to pay you a lot more. And so I also personally think that having more followers on Instagram is more valuable than having a lot of followers on TikTok, because
I agree.
these people are more loyal to you, and so even though Instagram doesn't monetize you per post, you are posting every day because of the brand deal that you're going to get from posting every day, if that makes sense. That one brand deal is going to cover you.
Okay.
So right now you're still studying, and what are your plans like for the next 3 to 5 years? Are you just going to finish school and then go back to New York, maybe reconnect with some old friends, maybe make new friends, and just keep going on content creation? Or do you also want to work in the field you're studying for right now?
So right now I'm focusing in on marketing and entrepreneurship
Okay.
at university, and I still feel passionate about that. But for the next 3 to 5 years, I could not tell you. Like, honestly, all I know is that I'm going back to New York after I graduate in
Yeah.
February, and I'm gonna stay there for at least a year and see how it is, and also live with my parents as well, save some money for rent because New York rent is insane.
Yeah.
And then potentially get a manager in New York as well, because when I'm in one place, they're able to manage me better, so I can have more of a consistent income with brand deals as well. And then I definitely want to take my own brand and create my own brand, starting when I'm back, and I have more time to focus all of my energy into that instead of just balancing it with school as well.
What I was wondering about is also because you mentioned your parents. How are they viewing all of this? Because we already talked to another influencer, and he's well known here in the Netherlands. But then he discusses certain topics, and we asked him like, hey, yeah, how do your parents find it that you share so much of yourself online? Like, how do your parents respond to all of this, and especially since you've gotten so big now?
I think they were always supportive. They thought it was cool. I think they're just happy when I'm happy. And so when I started sharing it originally, because I was really happy with how my life turned out here, and I wanted to inspire other people, they thought it was great. They didn't have anything. They were like, as long as it's not affecting school or anything, you know what I mean? Like, just keep doing that. And then I think at one point, my dad has always been an entrepreneur. And so he's more of the risky type. And he at one point was encouraging me like, Lucy, if you want to make this full time, you absolutely can. And my mom, she's a lawyer, she's a bit more logical, and she's like, Lucy, are you sure you don't maybe first want to get an internship in New York when you get back? And so on one side, my dad's like, Lucy, full send, you're 20, like, you need to take risks, this is the time. And my mom's like, maybe we should get an internship and do this in case whatever. But now, since I've grown, I think both of them are on the same page, and they're both just so supportive of me. And I think sometimes the only time, I mean, they've never really said anything because I'm allowed to share what I want to share about my life. But like sometimes if I'm vlogging at home and they're there and my mom is like not like I don't know, she's in her PJs, she's like, maybe don't post that because I don't want my colleagues to see that. But I always try and respect their privacy, always ask also my friends for permission before I post them in my videos, because again, I'm used to having millions of people view my face, but it's not normal like for other people. So I always make sure that everyone's okay with that.
Yeah. Cool.
So you mentioned like the big difference in rent between Maastricht and New York. What are like the biggest difference you have experienced between Netherlands and USA?
The biggest difference?
Let's start with comparing just the city.
Okay.
Like Maastricht for us is like a relatively big city in Limburg.
Yeah.
But compared to New York, it's a really small town.
Yeah, I mean, here everything is 5 minutes away. My friends are 5 minutes away. If it's like says 20 minutes like on Google Maps, you're like, oh my gosh, it's 20 minutes. But in New York, everything is like 30-minute subway ride away. And I think that really affects me when I go back to New York in the summers as well. I'm kind of spoiled by my lifestyle in Maastricht, where I'm just like, oh yeah, my best friend lives 5 minutes away. Let's just do a dinner really quick. Let's figure this out. Let's just do it spontaneously. In New York, you have to plan that a bit more. And it's a bit more inconvenient. But I'd say starting off with one of the biggest differences, like the activity lifestyle. Everyone here is a lot more active in their daily life, not gym wise, like in their daily life. So like going to the grocery store, everyone's biking, everyone's walking there. Versus in the US, it's like everyone drives their big SUV to the grocery store. You'd never walk there. And to school in the US, you would have your parents drive you to school, even if it was only 2 kilometers away.
Yeah.
And then we would actually have these walk to school days. And on that day, I mean, I was always walking to school. My parents were like, you are not stepping foot into it. Like, no one's driving you. You're walking to school or biking. But on walk to school days, they would host it. And if you walked to school, you would get like an eraser or a pencil or a brownie or whatever.
Yeah.
And moms would actually drive their kids a block away from school
Yeah.
and then walk with them for 3 minutes to say
Yeah.
that their child walked to school.
That's crazy.
And that's just like, here, everyone is just generally more active.
Yeah.
And so it's just a healthier lifestyle. And in the US, it's like, okay, we don't walk anywhere. We just sit at our desks all day and we drive everywhere. And then we go to the gym for 4 hours and go on these crazy diets. Like,
Which style do you prefer?
here, 100%. It's like a lot less stressful. It's just, it's nice getting fresh air. It's nice taking your time. Also, like, you just have to manage it a bit more well, your time. You're like, okay, yes, if I had a car, maybe I'd get to the grocery store in 3 minutes, but instead I have to walk there and it's going to take me 15 minutes, but like just manage your time a little bit better.
That's the thing about cities, though, because where I live, the supermarket is like a few kilometers away. So when I'm doing a lot of groceries, I'm taking the car. Yeah. So
That's true.
But when we're like staying in big cities like Maastricht or Den Haag or Amsterdam, Rotterdam, we do everything by foot because everything is close by. On every corner is a supermarket or something.
Exactly.
Yeah, when you live like Netherlands has a lot of empty places or like places that are far from cities. Those people have to live by car, of course.
Yeah.
But I agree that I think in Europe, in general, people are a lot more active.
Yeah.
And just do things, walking, bicycles.
Yeah.
Although that's a very Dutch thing, taking the bike everywhere.
Yeah, and also like it's a thing I think I see a lot with my friends as well. Like everyone is super spontaneous and like planning ahead is something like I don't do that, you know. And,
In the US?
No, in the Netherlands, I mean,
Oh.
because you were saying like you have to plan visits with friends and stuff because it's so far away. Like here is just like sometimes I get a text. And then it's like, hey, yeah, can you meet me in like 2 hours? And I'm like, oh, okay. And the thing is like, I'm so busy that I have to plan. And then I'm always like colliding with them because it's like, hey, yeah, I have free time. Like, obviously they have school or work or something. But when that's done, then it's like, oh, yeah, no, I have the rest of the day to just do whatever.
Yeah.
And so it's quite interesting. Yeah.
So like the two things you see in like American teen drama television, I am a big television lover. It's like first of all the college sports, we mentioned that. The second thing is like house parties.
Oh yeah,
they seem
Project X and stuff.
They
like
seem
that.
to be huge.
Yeah, but Project X was in Australia actually.
Oh really? Okay.
Did you experience in the US like these big college parties?
Yeah, I did when I was studying at the University of Vermont and when I visited my boyfriend at the University of Notre Dame. Both University of Notre Dame is bigger than Vermont and they're both pretty small compared to like the Big 10 state schools in the US like Michigan or whatever. But these I mean the entire house just turns into a party like. And you don't have, unless you're in New York City or you're in LA or in Chicago or something, you don't really go to the clubs. Like frat and sorority culture is a lot more of a thing. And you usually have like a college student who's the DJ there and then just a bunch of solo cups everywhere and just, hundreds and hundreds of people everywhere. And I had that in high school as well. Like I obviously, drinking age was 21, but all of my friends and we were drinking and I just was, we were at house parties all the time when we were like 17 because there were no clubs. Like I also have to say I grew up in the suburbs of New York. And so I grew up 30 minutes outside of the city where it was more calm and in a neighborhood where it was friendly and everything. Yeah. And so, someone would be like, okay, my parents are out of town. And then we'd go to their house.
I always wonder because like I was just watching these TV shows and I'm like, that's awesome. Yeah. And just wondering like, is this just TV or is it like something really that's really happening?
No, it really does happen. Especially because the drinking age is 21. A lot of people can't get into bars. Yeah. They can't get into clubs. So they're like, let's all bring alcohol and gather at a house where no one's going to tell us no.
Yeah. And then you get to Europe and it's like, hey, you can drink when you're 18.
yeah. And in Germany, you can buy beer and wine at 16.
Yeah.
I believe in some Eastern European countries you also can drink at like 16.
Yeah, I think Spain is.
But I think it's crazy because in the US you can like in some states get your driver's license at 16.
Yeah,
And
I
you-
got my driver's license at 16.
Mm.
yeah, and you can also buy guns at 18,
And
but
you
you
can
can't
join
drink.
the military.
Yeah.
And you can't drink.
You're basically just a child.
Yeah, it's insane. It's insanity.
That's,
Yeah, I also realized that in the US, there's a lot more like, let's say okay, I'm going to use this as an example. In the Alps, there's a lot of après-ski.
yeah.
And then everyone's responsible for themselves. How you get down the mountain is not my responsibility, it's your responsibility. But in the US, for example, they could never do this because if one person got hurt when they skied down, they would sue and it would be so much money. Like the first course of action, I feel like
Yeah.
for Americans is like, I'm suing you.
Yeah.
And they're a lot more like they're a lot more almost there's a lot more helicopter parents, so they don't want you to get hurt.
Yeah.
They don't want you to try this and this because they just want to keep you safe and kind of bubble wrap you
Yeah.
almost.
Yeah, just like fuck around and find out.
Yeah, exactly. But with my parents, they sent me on a plane alone to Germany when I was 6 years old because I had a flight attendant looking after me. Like I was all set, but they were like, we trust the airline and we trust that my grandparents are going to pick me up in Berlin. But they were like, I don't know, American parents, like their friends were like, how are you doing this? She's only 6 years old. How are you sending her on a flight alone and whatever? And I was like, do, happy in the plane with the stewardess taking care of me. Like I was chilling.
Yeah. Nice.
I was taken care of, but they were a lot more relaxed in that aspect. And I think American parents have more of like I need to protect you and not have you be hurt, but then you don't experience as much.
Yeah.
Sometimes I tell my girlfriend like the US almost seems like a completely different planet.
Yeah.
All the crazy news stories and things that are happening there, it's like, how do you get so far?
Yeah.
And like I sometimes don't know how to process it. And like, another
Yeah.
crazy news story about like for example the school shootings.
Yeah.
That seems crazy to me.
Yeah.
Like sometimes like even surreal. Like how does it keep happening?
I know.
Yeah.
And
It's because of the gun laws. And,
Yeah.
and that's unfortunately extreme. Like, I don't even know if it's possible for that to change
No.
because it's in the Constitution.
Yeah, that's the thing. They feel like
So-
it's their right to protect themselves.
Yeah, I think the most important thing is that they have they make it harder to obtain these guns.
Yeah.
I think that's what they can do.
Yeah.
Because a bunch of the school shootings, you see these 16-year-olds
Just kids.
who have problems
Yeah.
obtain a gun somehow.
I was playing Minecraft
Yeah.
at 16.
Exactly. Like
Yeah.
exactly. So they just need to make it harder for them to obtain guns and
Yeah.
hopefully. But that's insane. I remember when I was studying abroad at the University of Vermont, there was not a single day where I thought of a situation where there could be a gun of like, okay,
But that seems so crazy to me.
it's insane. And here I'm like just walking around and then
I mean, not saying that that's perfect. We have a lot of violence here as well,
of
but
course, yeah. And
it's-
like
it's- it's
stabbings
different.
and stuff, but
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
so different.
Yeah.
But there you're like actually fearing for your life almost every single day.
Yeah. Did you get like these drills as well, like
Yeah.
where you have to learn what to do when something like
We had those in high school and in elementary school all the time after the first school shooting, where instead of the red bell that would go off for a fire drill, it would be a blue bell. It would be a blue light and it would be silent because the shooter wouldn't know.
Yeah.
And then, or they wouldn't know, I don't know. But it wouldn't be a beep, it would just be a blue sound. And then the teachers would put paper on the doors so that they can't see in it. And then we'd have to line up right behind the door so that if the shooter looks in the door, there's nothing to see like straight ahead. We would all be like that way.
Oh, that's crazy.
And there were times where there was also real ones where I was in, where there was a live shooter around our school.
Yeah.
And when that happened, I can't tell you the feeling I felt. Like I was shaking, crying, holding my friends' hands because they told us it wasn't a drill. So I was like, okay, are they in the building?
Yeah.
What the fuck is happening right now? Like they couldn't communicate anything to us. And the feeling of like, oh my God, am I about to die?
Yeah, that's
like,
must
it's
be insane.
unexplainable, the feeling. And I was freaking 16.
It's like straight out of a horror
And
movie.
I lived in such like a a very good neighborhood.
Yeah, protected.
Like protected neighborhood. I
Yeah.
grew up privileged, and like that's just, that stuff still happens.
Yeah.
Crazy. Like everything seems also a lot bigger. We had like a family friend of my girlfriend coming over. She lives in America right now, and she was like, one of the biggest difference is like the cars. Like the cars here are so small compared to all like the Ford F-150s
Yeah.
everyone is driving around in the
Yeah.
US. I see all these memes from like Target where like you buy the peanut butter, the 5 liter.
Everything is just extra large, extra large.
Yeah, I
Everything
saw
is
you
bigger.
went to a store the other day, and then you compared it to here, and it's like, oh yeah, if I want to find this type of cheese, now I have like 10 choices. And in the Netherlands, it's like,
you also have a bunch of more choices as well. Marketing is insane in the US. I think that's where it all stemmed from. Like Christmas in the US is not just Christmas.
yeah.
Every single company and brand uses Christmas as a marketing scheme. Like they're already promoting this holiday.
Same with Halloween. It's like so big.
Same exact
in the US.
thing with Halloween. Same exact thing with Valentine's Day. Same exact thing with whatever holiday they can get their hands on.
Yeah.
They're making it a whole theme, and they're creating their products around it, and they're selling it in that way. And I think it sucks for consumers because they're faced with all of these. People think the more choices you have, the more freedom, but it's actually the opposite because you're overwhelmed with the amount of choices.
Yeah, something I noticed as well, because like when I was like a little kid at 5, we went to the supermarket and there was like, you had Mars, Snickers, Milky Way, just the standard brands of chocolate. And now they all have like 10 different kinds. Like they have Mars chocolate bars, they have Mars drinks.
Yeah.
I think we get influenced by
Oh my
the US
gosh,
so
when I
much.
first came to Maastricht, I couldn't find a single protein bar at the grocery store. Like, I just wanted to have a protein bar, like a snack. I was used to it in the US. That's what I had.
I had them like since last year in some supermarkets.
And then, all of a sudden now, it's like Snickers protein bar.
Yeah.
Barbell. You have everything in Albert Heijn. And that was like 3 years ago. There was nothing. It was just a pack of granola. That was it. And it was like, get your protein from chicken, how it's supposed to be, honestly.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, good
and
food,
now it's just like, I can tell the Netherlands is really picking up on the US marketing.
It's crazy.
I think in terms of like Europe, we are like the country which adapts the first.
Really?
Yeah, Netherlands is always, also like a really rich country.
Yeah.
And I think we are always following what the US is doing.
Yeah, kind of.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, because when you go to
Like especially Halloween. Sorry to interrupt, but like I was the other day. It was Halloween, and like normally when I was younger, no one was doing that. You know, like there was no trick or treating, whatever.
Yeah.
And we went sometimes, but it's not as big.
And suddenly now it's like in my block here, I saw kids walking around dressed up, and
I think it's fun.
it's
I think that's a good thing.
Yeah, it's good, but it's just like these holidays they come over here, and it's just now it gets a lot bigger, especially also since we have like obviously Maastricht is very international, so we have like a lot of different influences from that as well, I think.
Absolutely.
Yeah, well, like for example, when you go to Croatia or like Italy, they are even more behind on the stuff we do here. So
yeah, true.
I think Netherlands is like one of the countries that adapts the first, even with like the Mr. Beast chocolate or the Prime drinks. Like Netherlands doesn't have Prime. I know Germany, Czechia has it, and UK
Prime
has
drinks?
it. Yeah.
France has it. I saw it in Paris.
Yeah. I think every country except Netherlands, because we are very strict on food laws.
That's good though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not as strict as Germany though. Germany is really strict on food laws, even with the proteins. That's why you can't get as much protein powders as here. But yeah, we adapt really quick, and sometimes the choices are overwhelming.
Yeah.
No, I mean, also in the movie theaters here, you can get like beers or stuff. You know, that must have been so. Like, have you seen that?
No.
Yeah, you can.
It's really normal to have beer.
Yeah, you can buy beer in the movie
At
theaters.
the Pâté one?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
So
Good to know.
I was just thinking like,
Wait, that is something not happening in the US?
No, I don't think so.
No, you cannot get beer at a movie theater.
You can
But
get
you
guns
can
at
get
Target.
But you can get a soda this big and a popcorn this big
Yeah.
and a hot dog this big, but you cannot get. I don't think you can.
No, because
So strange
I was
to me.
thinking that's like I heard from a couple friends of mine that are also American. They were like flabbergasted by it. They were like, "What the fuck? Why are you able to get beer at a movie theater?"
But beer is like a really a European thing as well.
Yeah.
Like we have so many different brewers,
Yeah, and
especially in
German.
the Netherlands, Germany as well.
Yeah.
Belgium too. Like every country has its own beer.
Yeah.
But
Well,
Netherlands is really beer is just a culture here.
Yeah.
Mm.
And I think that's one of the biggest things is that the alcohol is a part of the culture and
Mm.
it's brought up and you associate alcohol with family dinners and oh yeah, I'm just going to have
Glass of
one
wine.
beer or a glass of wine with my dinner, and you start from a younger age, but you're drinking responsibly and you're taught about like the different types of breweries behind the beer and like the art behind the wine and everything. And in the US, you're like, oh my God, I can't drink this. And it's so restricted that I'm going to go crazy when I get my hand
Yeah, a
on
lot
it.
of
And
people
I'm
get
just going to
addicted.
drink to get drunk. And so I could see why movie theaters in the US don't serve alcohol is because people do not see it as like a casual, like, oh yeah, I'm just going to have a beer or something to enjoy. They're like, let me get drunk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And well, spoke a bit about this in your videos as well, but like the fact that you can like take a bicycle ride, for instance, and end up in a whole different country.
Yeah, I think
Like
that's so
how is that like how does that feel to you? Because I can you have different states, of course, and
Yeah.
it's obviously
Can't bike to another state.
Yeah.
it's still too far away to bike, of
Yeah.
course, and also like I don't know if like, because I don't want to generalize, but like I don't know if a lot of Americans understand that that it's a whole different culture that you're
Yeah,
entering. Like for
yeah.
instance, Germany is a lot different than the
Yeah.
Netherlands.
Yeah,
and-
but I think the states have a lot of difference as well. But
Yeah.
it's just like they all speak the same language. I
Yeah.
think, but in Europe, it's just different is the language, and
Mm-hmm.
of course the cultures. But when you compare like New York to like maybe Alabama or Los Angeles, it's of California, it's really different as well in terms of culture. But they speak the same language,
Yeah.
so it's I guess more accessible.
yeah.
I mean, for me, it still shocks me every time that I can go on a 5-kilometer run and I'm in Belgium. Like,
Yeah.
I'm just like, what do you mean I'm in Belgium and no one's controlling me for a passport?
Mm.
Because in the US, I would go to Canada and first there's border control. You would try and go to Mexico, border control. Like,
Yeah.
you can't just leave the country. You know what I mean? And also just getting on a train and going to Liège and the train conductors are speaking French and I'm just like, whoa, what?
Yeah.
And it's just it's really crazy to wrap my head around, but I think it's so fascinating and amazing that you can immerse yourself in so many different cultures with so much like you don't need to put a lot of energy into it. Like it's very accessible to people. And I think that's good. Yeah.
Yeah.
One thing I want to ask is, do you watch any television here?
Like Dutch television?
Yeah.
Just in general, because I was watching a show one time and it was broadcasted from the US, and every 3 minutes there was an ad break. There are so many advertisements during like TV. Whereas in the Netherlands or like Europe, example for football, it's just like 45 minutes of football, then we have like 50 minutes of advertisement, and then another 45 minutes of football. But when I stream something from the US, it's like we have the programming, ads, the programming, more ads, and it's every few minutes there are more ads.
I mean,
especially during the Super Bowl, no?
I was just about to say that.
Yeah.
In the Super Bowl, people watch the Super Bowl for the advertisements.
Yeah.
Like people are just as invested in the advertisements as they are in the Super Bowl, because everyone knows like whoever got a spot in the ads paid billions to be there to get that 15-second clip, so they're going to make it extremely cool and everyone wants to see that.
Yeah.
But I guess advertisements, that's another huge thing, is that there's billboards and advertisements everywhere you go in the US. And
Look at Times Square.
and
in New
you
York.
get exhausted because you're constantly being told like, buy this, buy that, you need this, you're not good enough, buy this, do this. Like you constantly think you need more to be satisfied. And here it's kind of like the noise goes away. It's like, just buy what you want. Like also in here, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think you're allowed to advertise for medicine, right? You're not allowed to have advertisements around like
only for like cough
specifically
medicine or something
specific
like
things
that.
you can't for like allergies, but not for like paracetamol or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the US, it's like one of the biggest, pharma is like one of the
Yeah.
biggest money makers. So
Yeah.
everyone is like, oh, Ozempic, the new thing. Like everywhere you see in the city is like the new weight loss pill, the new
Crazy.
this, the new that. And these are like prescription drugs that you need to get from a doctor, and they're being advertised.
But like the healthcare system in the US is like also really crazy.
Yeah,
How
yeah.
that works. Yeah.
I know.
You have to pay, otherwise you're gonna be put out on the street. Like
Yeah.
But like it's the same with like college though, because you mentioned tuition. It's really high numbers in the US.
yeah.
As here, like
We're
I-
already complaining about the
like
the cost.
2,000 euros a year. That's like, oh my god, it's so much. And
Yeah,
It's, yeah.
yeah. We're kind of lucky that way, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
it's just it's that's what I call it another planet. It's just a world of difference. Like living in the US from like from birth to your death is so different than living in any other part of the world.
Yeah.
But the same, of course, with like Asia or Africa. But people always like to say, "Oh, Europe is better," but I think it's really different.
What I
Yeah.
do like is
Everything costs more, but people are way richer in
Yeah.
the US.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but what I do also like is the fact, and that's something I really think is good from the US, is like everything needs to be accessible.
Yeah.
Like so especially because I'm in a wheelchair, and I went to school with Mike for a couple years,
Mm-hmm.
and the elevator was broken basically every week,
It was so
something
shit.
like that.
Where was this?
At Zuid.
Okay.
It's like
and
in nearby the city center.
yeah,
Okay.
and they were just saying to me like, hey, yeah, here's the key to the elevator. It's your responsibility to make sure that not a lot of people are gonna use it, because it's not really fixed yet. But you can go upstairs, and I was like, just like, what the fuck? Because
Yeah.
I was just like, pay money, fix the elevator.
So do you think it's more accessible in the US?
Definitely.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's way more flat than
yeah,
here.
and like because my dad has some friends in the US as well, and when he talks with them about this stuff, they're all like, "Oh, you need to like tell the school to fix it," you know? And
That's
Sue them.
yeah,
that's sue them. Exactly. That's the
Yeah.
biggest. That's also another huge difference is that customer service in the Netherlands
yeah,
or in Europe in general is just a lot more laid back and optional.
yeah,
And in the US, it's like, I am here for you. Whatever you need.
Please don't sue us.
Exactly. Please don't sue us. Please give us the best rating.
yeah,
But in turn, we're going to give you 24/7 like help if
Yeah.
you need that. And we're going to just do everything we need to ensure that your experience
Satisfied,
is 100% satisfaction.
yeah,
And so you're constantly able to get help from, and schools are very responsive, like email you back right away and are like,
yeah,
like, we're so sorry you're having this problem and we're here to help you and we can do this and that. It's not even an option to not have it fixed. And here it's like, I don't know, it's like optional.
Well, the
Yeah.
architect doesn't like fitting just a ramp, so yeah, go fuck yourself.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
yeah. I sent an email, and it's like, oh yeah, we'll get back to you in, I don't know,
Maybe
sometime. You know? And I'm just waiting there, and I've been studying there for 4 years. I didn't get a response back anyway. You know, I was just like,
Exactly. It's, yeah.
You should sue them.
So,
yeah, no, maybe now I can sue them when I'm
Yeah,
not
sue
there
them.
anymore. Yeah. Well, yeah. Maybe to close off, I was thinking, as a fun question, is like, imagine your younger self, and like, what would you give? What advice would you give to her? Like,
Yeah.
just got here,
yeah.
wants to get into content creation.
Yeah.
Like, there must be more people like you know.
Fuck
yeah.
your sports.
What would you say to her or him?
I would say to my younger self that let me think about this for a second.
Yeah, sure.
I would tell her that number one, growth happens outside of your comfort zone, and it's okay to feel fearful. It's okay to feel lonely. That's all a part of the process, and embrace those emotions because they're bringing you to something greater. And without the lows, we wouldn't be able to experience the highs. And I used to have this skewed view that we constantly had to be happy, but that's unrealistic. And so it's okay to feel those emotions, and it's a
Yeah.
part of the process. So every time you feel sad or you feel homesick or you feel scared, remind yourself that that feeling is a sign of growth. You are currently growing. You're crying and you're growing because you're uncomfortable. And we don't grow in our comfort zones. And I think everyone kind of knows that. And that's a very general quote, but it's so true.
Yeah.
And stop putting so much value on other people's opinions, because at the end of the day, you only have one life. And if you live a life based on what other people think, you're living their life and not your own. You have to keep doing your own thing, stay in your own lane, stop comparing yourself to other people. Someone's always going to have more money. Someone's always going to have more followers. Someone's always going to do this and this and that and this. It doesn't matter. It doesn't affect you. Someone else's success does not bring you down. Like, it doesn't matter. It should inspire you, and just stay in your own lane.
Yeah.
And keep working hard and keep doing whatever it is that you feel passionate about, no matter what other people say.
Nice.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Thank you.
For the people that don't know you, I guess there are a lot of them. You can use that camera. Please plug yourself. Promote your Instagram.
Where
Hi.
can people find you?
So I'm Lucie Rauschnabel on Instagram and Lucie Rausch on TikTok. I prefer Instagram, so if you want to follow me on there. But I'm a lifestyle content creator. I'm 21 years old. I share a lot about my life in the US, but also my life in the Netherlands and traveling around. So and then I also share a lot about my balanced lifestyle, how I manage content creation with school, and how I manage social life with working out, and just balancing life as a 20-year-old. And I share advice on how to, just get through these years in the best way possible. And so if you want to join my community, feel free. Yeah.
Nice.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yeah.
We're going to be back in Dutch in another 2 weeks. Thank you for listening to us. And see you soon. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye bye.